If you've been following my blog at kenhegler.com, you know that my theme that I have been talking about over past weeks is the Valley of Suck and what that means. So today, I want to introduce that a little bit more in depth, a little bit more personal. What is the Valley of Suck? What does it mean to be in the Valley of Suck? How do you survive the Valley of Suck? And how do you help people you care about when they're in that valley? That's what I want to talk about today on this episode of Jedi Pastor Ken. Back in the late 60s, Dr. Holmes and Rahe developed a scale, an inventory, if you will, of the different stress factors in people's lives. On that list, they ranked about 45 different things that take place typically that cause stress for us. They gave it a scale from 1 to 100. The more things that happen that are stress related, when those points start to add up over time or in a short period of time, we have a better idea then about whether somebody's going to be affected by the stress that they're under in negative ways. That came very clear to me back in 2000. In that year, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. That was also the year that our daughter was born, and a number of other things took place. Well, both the dealing with cancer and then dealing with the birth of a new child, those are all things that cause stress. That scale helped me to understand the complexities and the ways that stress can influence and impact our lives. During my wife's fight with colon cancer over the last 20 months, I found myself taking on more and more responsibility, as should be the case. I was not only a husband, as a father, as a parent. I did all that I could to care for them and support them. We were blessed to have incredible friends and family that have come around us. I couldn't ask to serve at a better church at Bethelview United Methodist Church. But the reality is, we were, in the words of the 23rd Psalm, walking through the valley of the shadow of death. But there was more to it than that. It wasn't just death that was around us. And the more I talked with caregivers and widows along this journey, I came to realize there's something more taking place. It isn't just the shadow that creeps over and gives chills. There's a sucking joy and hope, spontaneity and happiness. Those are all things that get sucked out. One of the hardest things about being in the Valley of Suck is the culture and society that we live in. We feel this pressure to be cheerleader. We feel we have this requirement on us to go to somebody who's in the Valley of Suck and say, "Hey, buck up, little camper, it's gonna get better." The reality is it doesn't. But we are accustomed to everything being resolved in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours. And that's not the way that life works. If you're going through the Valley of Suck, one of the most important things for you to realize is that both physically and spiritually, you're going to be pushed to your limits. You need to find those things that help you the most. Now, I can offer some suggestions, and I'm going to do that just a little bit here. And it starts with this. Probably one of the most important things that you need to realize is you need to grieve. During the week between my wife's death and her graveside service, I cried and bawled my eyes out. Anybody that was present at the memorial service will probably tell you they couldn't hear anything else because of my crying. But I knew that's what I needed to do. I needed to cry. I had just lost my best friend. Now, spiritually speaking, I think it's important that we don't paint pretty pictures or try to sanitize what's in Scripture. But there's also a great many passages of Scripture that talk about suffering and grieving and questioning God and crying out to God in difficulties. One of those Psalms that I have found most important and encouraging to me has been Psalm 13. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? What if you're just a friend or family, a pastor? What is it that you can do? Well, one of the blogs that I wrote recently, and I'll put a link down to below, was to say you need to take people at their word who are going through the valley of suck. The top 7 things that I think are extremely helpful for friends and family, pastors, and others to know when they're with somebody in the valley of suck. First, anger does not equal bitter. Questioning does not equal doubt. Hurting does not equal a loss of faith. Grief does not equal being obsessed. Alone does not necessarily mean being lonely. Lonely does not mean being needy. And single does not mean available. Oh, and one more thing. Don't offer advice. Be a friend, not a therapist. Unless you're a therapist, and then I guess you can be both. But seriously, here's the difference. Advice starts with you phrases, such as, "Hey Ken, you know what you need to do? I can tell you what you need to do. You need to do blah, 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 blah." If you're wanting to be a friend, then you offer suggestions. Suggestions start with I phrases. "Hey Ken, you know what I found helpful when I was grieving? It was..." See the difference? Thanks for not giving up on me. It's just been a long journey. I hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, I hope that number 1, you'll like the video and hit that button down there. But more importantly, I hope that you'll share it. I hope that you'll share it with somebody else that's going through the valley of suck, or maybe family and friends who don't really know what it is that you're experiencing. Much love from the valley of suck. Until we see each other again, may the force be with you.